the Firefox booth. This is Firefox OS, our new HTML5-based smartphone operating system. It's running on here on a ZTE device. We've announced earlier in the week that we're working with quite a few operators and a number of handset manufacturers as well. We're working with ZTE. There's also an Alcatel device here that Deutsche Telekom will be releasing in some markets in Eastern Europe. This is the one that Telefonica is going to be releasing in Brazil later this year. We're focusing on emerging markets to begin with. The OS runs extremely well on hardware that can actually be released at a price point that means that a lot of people in emerging markets who have never been able to afford a smartphone before will be able to move from feature phones to their first smartphones. This matters a lot to us at Mozilla because we're about the spread of an open web and have the web that's accessible to everybody. And so clearly we're interested in the next couple of billion people who are going to come online in the next few years. They're mostly in emerging markets and they're mostly going to be on phones. So as I mentioned, this is an HTML-based operating system, which means that everything you see here, all of the launcher, the lock screen, basically everything on the phone is all based on HTML and JavaScript. So the same languages and technologies that are used to build modern websites and web applications. So all of the apps that come with the phone, I mean, again, it's your usual complement of things that you would expect to see on a modern smartphone. Our mapping is coming from Nokia Here Maps. And you can see that it performs as you would expect any modern smartphone to. These are all built in HTML5 and JavaScript. We already have a number of great top-tier third-party apps like Facebook, Twitter, Airbnb, YouTube, and that we have so many already and that they're coming quite fast is also in many ways because of HTML5. Most of these properties already have great online mobile web app experiences, and so it's quite straightforward to take those and package them up to be installable on this HTML5 operating system. HTML5 apps, in a sense, are the native apps of this platform. We're giving people a couple of ways to get apps. We're introducing a Firefox Marketplace. It's our go-to way for people to get apps on the device, and it has operator billing, so people in emerging markets without credit cards can still buy apps. And so this is sort of the way that I think many people will do it. But we're also providing something else that's quite interesting, we think. It's sort of a more web-like model of how you would use interesting web apps on the phone. So, say I've got there's a U2 song that I want to play. I can go into this field and I can type U2. And basically we're doing app search here, right? A bunch of apps are coming up. What's interesting is that none of these apps is a U2 app. None of them is called a U2 app, but they're coming up anyway, and they're coming up because they have content that relates to YouTube. So that's kind of a new thing for mobile. We're used to it on the web. You can search for content no matter whose website it's in, but you can't really do that with mobile apps at the moment. So that makes this a little bit different. It's great for discovering new apps because I've maybe never heard of SoundCloud. I wouldn't have known to go look for it, but it's coming up because it's relevant to something I want. So I can just tap on it and it'll start to launch. What makes this a little bit different from our App Store, where you can download apps and install them, is that here we're taking great online mobile app experiences that are already available, and we're wrapping them up a bit so that they feel more like apps. It's a more user-friendly model for a mobile phone. For example, that didn't feel like going to a website. That felt like launching an app. And I can just start using it directly here. I can play these songs. This is also kind of cool because I didn't have to install anything. A lot of the time, you need to use something once, but you still have to install it, right? And then it's around forever unless you bother to clean up. But here, as soon as I'm done, I exit it and it's gone. I never install it. It's more a more web-like model in that I can use things whenever I need them, but I don't have to install them. But of course, if I want to, and I love this app, I can long tap on it and add it to my home screen. So the other thing that's really cool here is that it's, because it's an open platform, it means that we're going to see a lot more features that are great for users in in specific markets. So I'll give you an example. There's a cost control app here that Telefonica built for Brazil. They know that in Brazil people are really concerned about how much data costs, and so they need to be able to track their usage, set thresholds and things. So they built an app that comes bundled with their phone, which is great. Now, I mean, you can do this depending on who you are on some other platforms as well, but what they've done that's really unique is they were able to build their cost control functionality right into the operating system, right? So this is great for operators. They can build stuff that their customers want, but it's also great for users because, there wasn't a platform that had integrated cost control before. Maybe nobody thought it was important enough to build, but they know it's important in Brazil, and so they could build it, and now users can have that. So, and that's very much because it's an open platform. Things aren't locked down. Operators, OEMs, other people can do it. And not only is it possible, but because this whole thing is built in HTML5 and JavaScript, all these companies already employ people who know how to do it, right? It's HTML and CSS. People know how to do this. There are 8 million people out there who know how to develop for HTML5 versus a couple 100,000 who know how to develop for iOS or Android. So that's an overview of the phone. It's an open platform. It's out this year, especially in emerging markets, and there are lots of apps already, and they're coming.
Okay.